Lunch, Lady Doris. Have you got any grease?
Yes, we do.
Then grease me up, woman!
Hey folks, my name is GreasedScotsman and this is a full stealth video tutorial series of Espire 1 called Zero Takedown Ghost. I created a similar series for Deus Ex Human Revolution 8 years ago. Before that, I made full stealth walkthroughs for the Splinter Cell series, from Pandora Tomorrow and Chaos Theory to Double Agent. I stopped following the Splinter Cell series once Michael Ironside no longer played the part of Sam Fisher. From 2008 to 2011, I co-founded and was the lead shoutcaster for the esports commentary organizations Enemy Territory TV and Quake Live TV. In 2011, that ragtag grassroots group went on to provide the official broadcast coverage for QuakeCon in Dallas, Texas. And at that point, I hung up my spurs, because I was about to become a dad, and I couldn't really see yelling "holy shitballs" into a microphone at 2 a.m. going over well with a newborn or my wife. So 8 years later, I've become a huge fan and evangelist for virtual reality. I see a world without monitors or screens in our semi-near future, where we'll basically be sporting lightweight glasses and gesturing a toggle, or maybe even just thinking it, between mixed reality and virtual reality, all while wirelessly connected and seamlessly interacting with the world around us. Until then, we have some great hardware. In my case, a Valve Index and Rift CV1, and some really impressive and innovative games that raise the bar of what gaming interactivity can and should be. From Asgard's Wrath, that up the stakes for melee combat and storytelling, to Stormland, which sets the bar for mobility and traversal mechanics. And while this game, Espire 1, is a bit rough around the edges, and not as high budget, it really is laying the foundation for what stealth action can and should be in the virtual reality space. This series, Zero Takedown Ghost, is a full stealth playthrough born out of seeing many videos online that advertise stealth gameplay, only to present a feast of sleep darts, knockouts, and takedowns. The problem with this is, since the enemy will be waking up with headaches or a body count the next day, they know that they've been infiltrated. They know that you've been there. The goal of Zero Takedown Ghost is to leave no trace of your passing. No sleep darts fired, no equipment broken, no guards knocked out, and certainly no bullets fired or lethality employed. The pinnacle of stealth gameplay, in my mind, is one where the enemy is always a threat because they haven't been neutralized in any way. That is what I'm going to attempt to present here in this Espire 1 Zero Takedown Ghost series. The premise of Espire 1 is that you are an agent who is telecontrolling a series of Espire 1 espionage robots. They have the ability to climb any metal surface, which really opens up the possible pathways one can take through a room. To offset this freedom and mobility, the guards are surprisingly decent at spotting you from far away, including if you're up in the rafters. As you progress, you'll be able to bring additional Espire units online that provide different abilities and serve as a clever respawn mechanic for those that play the game in a way where their robot might be captured or killed. You have a nice set of equipment, although almost all of it I'm never going to use. You've got a dart gun, which is a silent takedown. You also have a repair tool. If you find a quiet spot, you can use this tool in order to repair the damage that you've sustained. So let's finally get this tutorial underway. Our first obstacle is the turret, and you can tell which way it's facing by its laser beam. That's often easier to see over long distances than the actual barrel of the gun. And since this is the tutorial, I'm going to be talking over it. In this case, the easiest way past this gun is just to pass by its right-hand side.
It's been a while. There should be a pneumatic pistol on the desk upstairs.
Nice bluey.
Oh, my partner in crime. Number 1 Rello.
Not got your man on your desk? Parents or nothing?
No distractions, please.
So there I realized that my movement was following my head rather than my hand.
Objective complete.
Tranquilizer rounds only. Should be almost completely silent. Try firing around. It's not automatic. Pull the piston back to ready another dart.
And since I'm going to be looking all around as I move forward, I didn't want my head direction to be changing my movement direction.
You'll need to reload it. Swipe the weapon near the magazine on your waist and Espire to holster your weapon. Let go of it anywhere. To get out of here, you'll have to break the lock off that air vent. Why don't you shoot it with the tranq pistol?
Now this game has an artificial crouch, which means you don't have to be bent over the entire time you're trying to be sneaky.
Agent, crouch to get into the vent in my office.
So, you keep a padlock on your air vent and a tranq pistol on your desk?
Whenever you're crouched, you'll see this kind of overlay come up on the HUD. And here we finally get into the meat of the game.
1043, I think I've hit the payload. Over. HQ, do you copy? This is 1-5 Delta. Over. Shit.
Good luck transmitting through the RF jammer, Chief.
So this guy's pretty easy to bypass. There's a nice metal duct work here that you can climb up and get you into the ceiling. But see how good the eyesight of this guard is here. Look at that. I love that. In almost any other stealth game, just by virtue of being not on the same vertical plane as the guard meant that they would never spot you and you could just sit up in the ceiling rafters and not have to worry about it. Instead, it seems like these guards have almost a sphere rather than a cone that they can sort of see in. If you're far enough away, they won't see you, but it's a pretty decent distance. Now this guard, thankfully, for whatever reason, will just go and stare at the wall over here, allowing us to get past him. If you do let him path, he'll path underneath you, and you can also just get past him that way, but I didn't want to wait through that, so I triggered him, made him see something, but he didn't identify me, so we've moved on. I'll also point out that this guard here, if he were facing us, would see us through the grates. Vents and grates do not protect you from being seen. Now the climbing mechanics in this game are a bit janky. See how you can kind of stick your hand through the wall? That can really become a problem.
Boss says this might be the place. If you find the payload, call it in straight away. CO will check in on the quarter hour. HQ, this is 1-4 Bravo. 1020, securing the Fold Division. Over.
Agent, if you get lost, take your repair tool and drop it on the ground. It'll show a path towards the next objective.
Now here you'll see a guard on the right and
Agent,
left.
The main shutter door is locked.
And you want to go as the guard on the right is moving away, but you do not want to go on the right side of these pillars, otherwise he will spot you as you kind of shimmy around the edge. And now, that first guard that we saw on the left has moved his way. He's pretty much underneath us, and I'm waiting for him to move back. There he goes. So we make our move, and now the third guard to worry about is just beyond these crates. Now if you look around, you'll notice that there's a zip line here that I could have taken straight to this spot. I chose not to because I've seen a lot of people take that zip line, and I wanted to show another path through.
Want another loop?
In a wonderful homage to various games like Splinter Cell and Deus Ex Human Revolution, there are multiple paths through any given room, and the developers Tripwire and Load have done a fantastic job of making a multi-route stealth adventure. Now this is my favorite mechanic of this game. You'll notice that my HUD's now turned yellow. That means that the guards are on a high alert status, but they have not found me. If I'm found, my HUD turns from yellow to red. But in this case, notice how more guards flooded the scene. They are on a higher alert. That changes up their pathing. That makes them
another round.
A lot more keen to spot you. And it makes sure that you have to stay on your toes.
Well, that's weird. Nothing here, Control.
In so many games, once you sort of learn the general pathing of the guards, you can pass by quite easily And in this case, they really force you to learn how to deal with a dynamic situation. It's really well done. So that's the call I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for some of the guards to say stand down. So I want to get some of them back into their more normal patterns. But they're still pretty alert, which we're about to find out here. I know there's a guard nearby, and he nearly sees me. So he comes to investigate my last known position.
Anyone else got anything?
And you'll see that because he spotted me, he's now been tagged. And I actually don't like this mechanic, or at least I wish that this tagging mechanic would disappear or fade over time. But I also am pretty sure he's now facing me, and I need to turn him around. So I'm going to use my repair tool to cause a disturbance to get him to face the other way.
Stand down. Better get back.
So now I'm pretty sure that he's maybe facing the other direction, and so I'm going to very cautiously peek my head out here. I also have lost track of where the other guards are. And it looks like I'm good to go. Now unfortunately I've been playing a lot of Stormland, and I've gotten very used to its climbing mechanics, so I'm thinking I can just do a little push off and grab the ledge here. But no. Unfortunately, the climbing mechanics are a little bit janky, and you'll see how they really get me into trouble later in the video. But for now, I can just reach out and grab them. Now I'm up in the rafters, but even though I'm this high up, if a guard gets close enough to me, they will spot me. So even at this height, I need to be pretty cautious with how I'm traversing the room. So now I'm trying to take stock here. I can see the leg of one guard. I'm trying to peek around and get a bead on another guard that I know passed around here. I don't yet see him. Okay, there's the one guard that I had to distract to get away from. There. Those are the other two I needed to track. And that's the guard you need to pay really close attention to. Wait for him to start heading back into the room. And that provides your opportunity to go. So as you can see, we're about to pass yet another way through that room. You could have fallen down the little hole there on my right, and that would have led to this vent.
Agent, your objectives are twofold. First, unlock the facility so that our troops can get in. Our guys are primed for the go code. Second, find out who is attacking the facility.
We don't have eyes inside the base, so you'll need to handle anything else that comes up on the fly. Our AI puppet string system, Mary, is translating your actions onto the Espire unit. She'll be giving us live feeds from your unit's sensors.
So as far as I can tell, there's actually not anyone in this room.
So we finally get the Mary AI system working by remote possession, but while our offices are under siege. I can't believe it.
Hopefully this is enough to get the project back on track. Agent, keep moving through the facility. Primary goal is still to reach the surface. Open the base up for our troops.
There's the exit, but if you bypass it, you'll notice that there's some piping here along the ceiling.
Agent, if you get lost, take your repair tool and drop it on the ground. It'll show a path towards the next objective.
And you'll see that this door is locked from this side. So we're going to go up and over. And so there was no time where I released my grip at all, but the climbing mechanics are just a little janky in this game. It really would have served well to have a little bit of haptic feedback, or maybe not let your hands go through objects, or a visual indicator, just something. There's a single guard in this room, and he's facing away, so not even anything to worry about. But this is what we're after.
This is Frank Gassessi's desk. What is all this stuff? He cleared out back in 26, right?
I'm more curious about why he'd leave a pistol behind.
An E1FS at that. Espire model.
Well, help yourself, Agent. Gear adrift as a gift. Must have been living out his spy fantasies in the office.
Objective complete.
This is hardware engineering.
Agent, we've lost contact with the Espire units back in the lab, but these showcase models will make for a nice backup. Use the repair tool on the control panel to power them up.
Now in a second here I'm going to ensure that the recording is working properly and adjust my headset.
Great. These units are now live. If you lose the one you're currently in, you can possess one of these new units.
Heading back to patrol.
Now there are multiple ways through the upcoming room. You can go to the right and just try to stay out of their line of sight.
Welcome behind the scenes, Agent. This is where blood, sweat and tears went into developing the Espire unit's protective armor. Your current prototype is, pretty lacking in that regard.
In this case, I'm just looking for a guard that's now finally started to make his way towards me. I was trying to get an idea where he was. One thing I'm quite impressed with is guards will not necessarily be in the same spots every time that you play the game.
Back to patrol.
Like they'll be along their path, but they seem to not necessarily start in the same place along that path every time. So you actually have to be kind of cautious even if you are replaying something. Up in the rafters, you are pretty much hidden. You're up high enough where they really aren't going to see you. And you can hear that I bypassed a camera that was along the what's now the left wall, and a very exposed corridor. Now I'm just getting stock of all three guards. They're all looking away, so I drop in and make my move. Next up, you can see some piping behind me. And I'm trying to get a bead on where the guard is down the hallway. He shouldn't see me at this distance, but I didn't want to risk it.
Resuming patrol.
You'll also notice that each time a guard starts a new segment of their path, they will say something. Now here, I'm gripping and gripping, and the game just won't take the fact that I'm grabbing. So I'm basically groping around. Experience my wife is quite familiar with. I'm like, okay, is it this metal plating? Is it the pipe? I guess it's the pipe again. Okay, game. Whatever. And now I'm just being very cautious about how I'm grabbing because I don't want to fall. Hi.
Okay, stay focused. Once more around.
So if you physically crouch yourself here, you can actually fit through this tight space. So in addition to artificial crouch, you can physically crouch. I guess that would be akin to being prone or something.
Back to patrol.
So here I'm trying to listen for that one guard that was pathing back and forth, and the guard ahead is on his leftmost point in his path.
Got anything?
I know that there's a guard to my right. I'm trying to listen for him.
Better get back to it.
I know he's heading away from me, so... At one final stop, I have to wait for him to turn and path away.
Better get back.
There he goes. I can make my exit.
Okay, stay focused.
Whoops.
Someone there?
Can't believe I wasn't spotted there. I had maybe a half second more where he would have come after me.
I hate this. Back to patrol. Patrolling. Oh, never.
But now, I can just do a little ring around the rosy with him.
Resuming patrol.
I'm trying to keep track of where this other guard is based on what he's saying.
Back to patrol.
I'm just hoping I'm fast enough to get into this vent. And there he is. You can see there's a guard up top. He's pathing away. Now he will see you through these grates. You cannot try to stick around underneath him. In fact,
Stop on another loop.
you'll notice that as I came into this vent, that guard over there was triggered.
Stay focused.
He saw something.
Once more around.
He didn't see me, though. But that really gives you an idea of
Anyone else got
how
anything?
close a call that just was. So now I spot this guard. He's facing away, but again, you can't stand in front of the vents.
Another lap.
Things like Deus Ex Human Revolution, you could just park yourself in front of a vent and get an entire overview of a room. In this game, grading and venting does not
Stay
hide you.
focused. Once more around.
But you can sneak right behind this guy. There's also one more guy that's facing into the room, but he does not spot you as long as you hug the wall there.
Remember this place, Agent? Your first rodeo.
This is where the magic happened.
There's a beta Espire model behind the security glass. It's beefier than your current alpha unit, but it's locked up tight. Agent, to access the beta unit, you'll need to get upstairs to the power platform and run a power cycle. It's up above you. Get up there and I'll walk you through the process.
Then you'll have some real power at your fingertips.
Now, here we're really going to abuse the metal climbing mechanics in this game. Right now, I'm just watching the barrel of that turret turn and trying to get an idea of where it is and spot the lone guard that is patrolling the floor near the machinery in the center of the room. There's also a camera if you try to hug the left wall. So it's actually better to come out into the room. And here I'm listening for the guard's cue
Anyone else got anything?
that he is pathing away. It lets me know where he's at. And this stack of equipment here is metal, so I'll be able to climb it. I'm just waiting for my cue.
Heading back to patrol.
There he goes. So now you've got about 10-15 seconds or so before he comes back. And I try to put this equipment between me and him. I start climbing it.
There's the first
But
breaker. Flip the switch.
I also fall, and now I'm thinking, okay, I've got to keep the turret at my back, make sure that the equipment's between me and it, and of course the guard is coming back, and I'm wondering what's wrong with my hands, because there was no point where I let go. There is a mechanic where when you get up to what the game thinks is a flat surface, it'll try to like vault you up there. And if you trigger that, you can sometimes let go of whatever you're holding on to. It's, I think, one of the worst mechanics. That happens again, but I didn't fall, thankfully.
Now get to the other three and flip them too.
Now this guard, he can spot you. I think as long as I hugged the wall on the outside of the room, I would be okay. But I don't want to risk it. Because I do know that if you sort of peer over the edge into the room, he will see you. So obvious alternate routes are to just sort of climb around this thing like a monkey, using the fact that it's metal to just get to each of the levers. But considering the jankiness of the climbing mechanics, I don't want to risk that. But here, if you just forge ahead, he will look up and see you, so I'm actually trying to ghost in his wake just above him in order to pull the next lever. And you'll see that the platform on the left is broken. If you go that way, you run into a problem where he will actually stop and look at the broken platform, which means that if you try to monkey across it, you will run into problems where he will probably see you as you make your way over. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this solid piece of the grating. Use the solid piece of the grating in order to obscure my view. And then now I know that he's pathing back underneath the equipment, so I should be good as long as I don't fall. As long as I don't fall, I'll be able to hit the lever.
Now head over to the master panel and flip the mains breaker.
Want another loop?
So again, my favorite feature of this game is you hit a point where it's about to force you to react and handle a very dynamic situation.
Objective complete.
You can see my HUD's gone to yellow. They are now in high alert status.
Huge power surge in the fall division. We're going in. Over.
All units, have a tripped in the fall division. Stay alert.
The path to the Espire control deck is now open. Head back downstairs and get in there. Drop the repair tool on the floor to see your waypoint.
I threw the repair tool in order to pull out one of the guards that will be in the corridor that I'm heading to. And this way, they're now making their way towards me, and you can see even the guy down below starts to spot me. And I'm thinking, well, okay, if he's going to come up after me, then that gives me a great opportunity here. All three guards are now up top, and I can just mosey on through.
Heading back to patrol.
This is it. Espire control.
Use the repair tool on the control panel in the center of the desk. That'll activate the new Espire unit. Great. The unit is now online. Open the Espire console to possess the new unit. Okay, this is the Espire console UI. This is the possession interface. Whenever you lose your link to a unit, you'll see this. From here, select an Espire beta unit.
Objective complete.
They've lowered the security. Good work, Agent. Mission success.
No knockouts, no kills, no combat, and of course, Ghost. Now apparently there's one more star, which is to never repair yourself, but since I repaired myself as part of the tutorial, I didn't get that emblem. I hope you've enjoyed this Zero Takedown Ghost playthrough of Espire 1, the first mission, and look for the second mission in the coming days.